Yeah, the pressure's mounting now, and of course, it's a CT side start for Black Dragons. T-side start for Made in Brazil. And we mentioned it yesterday, Sam, looking back towards Furia. The pistol rounds were so important. That's where a lot of the success come from. The question is now, can it be replicated? They're already going for that aggressive con control. Younger's going to be tested, looking for a little bit of an early pick in towards that mid, and what a shot it is. Younger going to open things up brilliantly, looking to make it 2. And what she does do, in fact, is forcing the double back over towards B, where Julie's waiting, holding things down. Damage dealt, and just about going to come out on top, looking to find one more. A nade will come through as well with support, and one by one, they're being picked apart. The 2 versus 4 towards the site. You know, 4 though. 3 versus 2. They've got control of the site Made in Brazil. The question now, what can they do with it? Damage dealt towards Kizza is not exactly where they want to be. And the bomb still needs to be planted. A minute left on that clock. And they're just going to try and deny that presence over towards that B site. Younger can hold and wait. She knows she's got the flank. She knows she denies that transition back over towards the A site. And essentially Made in Brazil hinted into clearing these close angles, going aggressive, and then trying to force a plant in. Early kill coming into a short water, and now they can in fact double back towards A if they want to, but no, they're going to quit towards this B site. In the cross, bomb dropped, and draw down to 1. Kids has to come up huge. 40 seconds on the clock in a 1 versus 2, and 22 points of HP is not exactly where she wants to be, but she will be able to get that bomb down at the very least.
I mean, that very first pick-off from Younger, you can see, you know, she's the AWP player of her team, and well, there you go. She snipes with a USPS. It's unprecedented, but it works. It gets in that beautiful opening. It forces a rotation all the way over towards the B site, which we had seen was quite heavily guarded. And then Julie manages to get a kill. 2 HP left at the end of that, but at that point, they've given themselves a huge advantage here. It's a perfect hold. Of course, we do see the bomb plant for Made in Brazil, which is very important in terms of their economy coming into this next round. It means that they will be able to, you know, force up a little bit and get some weaponry in their hands. And this is quite a force, in fact, and really looking to try and make something happen with this, because, of course, if they don't, then coming into the next round, they're in a little bit of a tight spot. Yeah, they've gone for the triple AK-47 with armor, and then for the likes of, for Kizza, for example, the double deagle setup coming through. So it's not actually the worst buy for Made in Brazil. It's one that is definitely viable at the very least. And you look at those Black Dragons, yes, that they lack in terms of firepower, but where they do lack in firepower, they win out in terms of utility. And that's what's going to help them on the seed side, especially on a map like Overpass. But this map holds a lot of importance. And this round, may I say, holds a lot of importance, because this is the one that controls the economy, at least for the short term, in the early parts of this map. Scout going for a little pick. We'll be able to find the damage as well. Kids are now down to 2 points of HP, and Younger going to make the smart decision just to try and fall away. The question is, will she be able to? And the answer is no. Caught in transition. And with Younger falling, numbers now favor Made in Brazil. I think it's also important to note that MIBR made a few roster changes at the very beginning of the season. And so they've actually improved so much. I mean, they were already looking on fire with those changes, but now with a little bit of extra time, you know, they've improved so much. And I think that this is also like a huge proving ground for these ladies, as well as, you know, this will determine who goes to Dallas. So it's going to be a pretty important one for both the team and the players.
Pretty important one. Pretty important kills as well. Looking for the trade, and they'll find out towards Natty, leaving it all down to 1. And unfortunately for Julie, she's isolated over towards short water. Significant damage has been dealt over towards Kizza and Littles, but I think for her, it might be a very tough save call, because she's saving an MP9. It's not the easiest or best of weapons to be saving when you're coming against AK-47s. Potentially could be able to pick one up, but it would take quite the task. Has been spotted in transition. M4 could be collected in towards close as well. Bit of spray coming forward. Labor spray at that. And Julie comes on the top. Just about 5 points on HP. Finding the kill on towards the AK-47. Look, find one more. Think gonna be found. That's all that's gonna be found. 3 remain alive for MIBR. They tie this game back up. And now all square, 1 apiece.
That was a good attempt there, and they do take away one of those AKs. But yes, MIBR, off the back of a pretty solid force, do manage to bring that round home. And again, you know, that's why we highlight the importance of getting that bomb planted in the very first round, because without that plant, we're looking at a potential 2-0 scoreline here for Black Dragons. And of course, MIBR do an excellent job of leveraging that buy into a round win. Now we got to see, can they maintain that momentum? They forced Black Dragons down onto a very unfavorable buy here. Younger's still going to be running with the Scout, because of course she is the sniper player for this team. That does allow her a lot of field of vision as well. But we're going to see the more or less gamble stack over towards the B site. But MIBR are actually expecting like a super aggressive pistol round rush, and so they're playing super passive until they have some information.
That's the game plan at the moment. They're going for a gamble stack over towards this B site, hold and wait for at least a little bit of information, and then make a decision off that. But in doing so, they give up more or less all of the mid control over towards the T side and allow them for a pretty uncontested push over towards that A site, especially if they want to make their way through short. So this now does become dicey. Younger's all alone, holding in towards Dice, looking to try and deny that presence over towards the A site. But MIBR making the very smart and kind of, I think it shows that how much work they've put in, that they're not overextending, not going hyper aggressive. They're going to find an opening kill. AK-47 or Arkina coming alive to find the first. With Dina falling with numbers in favor of MIBR, and the firepower too should be chalked up to run in their favor. But at the very least, Goddess is making it just a slight bit tougher. Natty coming alive for one of her over the Eagle. Denying time, and look at it, 20 seconds to work with, but it's all down to one. It's Younger and a Famas in a 1 versus 2. And either way you spin it, the fact that Black Dragons have brought it down to 1 versus 2 is something that's all they're going to be able to find. This also closes one out. MIBR take the lead, but only just with 2 remaining alive.
Yeah, I mean, they kept that very, very expensive, and I think that that's probably the best case scenario in a round where you didn't really have a whole hell of a lot to go in with. Unfortunately, that was an important round for Black Dragons to win if they wanted to give themselves back that advantage. Now they're going to be coming into this round basically a save. I mean, yeah, a save. No util, no nothing spent there. They're just going to take this completely clean and get into the next round as quickly as possible. If they can take a couple of guns out of MIBR's hands, all the better. But chances of them actually managing to do that are quite slim at this point.
I mean, with the very lackluster buy that we see brought in for Black Dragons, I think it probably should be more or less said that MIBR are going to find 3 here. So we can look towards the future, Sam. We can look towards what we want to see from Black Dragons. And I did like that early bit of a kind of an aggressive approach from them on that CT side. I think that's probably the way they have to play it. For MIBR, I mean, they're a side who do like to just cut down that clock and kind of play the more passive tempo, realistically speaking. And for Black Dragons, if they give up a lot of that map control over towards the T side, they are going to be punished. And we've seen it already once before with the slightly mixed fight. They can't afford to do so now for the way forward. Goddess does at least find herself one, but in towards that of Bathrooms, it only goes one way.
I mean, the fact that they managed to even get 1 is pretty big in my opinion. And they've managed to pick up an AK now as well. They get a second. How do you win that battle? How do you win that? She's got an AK.
Oh, of course, that's a 2 versus 2. USPs, somehow, some way, making this competitive run up towards another long player, and AK collected. Ooh, but Kazina just about to close that one out. I mean, that was way too close for comfort, Sam. For the side who came in with the full rifles, they came in against just USPSs. That should have been more or less a flawless round. And what we found now is, 3 out of 5 kills going the way of the CT side. That's a real silver lining.
I mean, that was incredibly impressive in my opinion, just in terms of being able to get that many kills, particularly when you're face to face with your opponent who has an AK and you're somehow winning out that battle. I think it comes down to a little bit of a misplay. Maybe it was a reload, maybe it was, caught off guard, I'm not sure, but for her to come out on top of that one, to take those guns away, to keep dealing damage to the economy, it's huge.
Well, now we spoke about early bit of CT aggression. I like this, what we're seeing from Nani here, playing in towards that aggressive top con position, supported by Young as well, the double M4A1S, are just trying to close down on that space, and they try and go for a rotation over towards B. They'll be met with the double spray down. I mean, it's a perfect hole for them to currently be in, but I think MIBR are all too aware they're slowly posturing over towards that A site. And I do preface slowly because they are shift walking all the way. Not a sound to be made apart from the util, but this could actually come back to bite them as 2 players are just ready in their flank.
Now little Z has an op in her hands. I mean, we've seen what she's capable of with that weapon.
Oh, there it is.
Stabbed in the back.
The bomb dropped as well. This could become dicey. Young are finding one more, and I think this might be now MIBR playing things just a little bit too long. It's that flawless round for Black Dragons, and that's the way you play a CT side. They give up control over towards MIBR, they catch them in the flank, and they spray them down with ease. That's the perfect way to execute it, and Oh, you got to give the credit where credit's due. For MIBR, that was them trying to cut down that tempo, try and play things all the slower. And Nani read them like a book. Nani Young come alive, double it down. They close out that short control. And there we go. 3-2, down to only a 1-round deficit.
I love that. I love the patient play. I love them kind of forcing MIBR, not even forcing, just waiting for them to rotate. Now they've got MIBR down into a, an eco round, and it should just be a little bit of a spray down here. They should be able to get a couple of good results here, but at the end of the day, this should be around in the back. But oh my goodness.
Okay, hang on. It's maybe might have some backbone towards it. You're not holding the other side of the smoke though, Kizza. Herself, just so that tempo. The reload was heard though, so you're gonna have all of the understanding there's someone in closer. Personal swing in. Litter's gonna find one. Looks like a two. The spam nearly dropping Julia down and out for the count. But with 1 point of HP, she stays alive and somehow, some way manages to fall away alive. But they're walking straight towards Goddess. She's gonna hear all the sound cues. All to where that's time they're making their way up towards A. Goddess could be in for the perfect flank here.
They have eyes on her. I mean, they're so focused in on what they're doing. I mean, even Julie is incredibly close, so she's going to come up the back. So this is going to create the pincer movement. Both players have been spotted out. No. This is the perfect positioning, but she gets one. Smoke comes down. Can she get the second?
It's ring around the rosies. They're trying to find the opening kill. She does it. A 1 versus 2, and she comes out on top. That's brilliant from Goddess. We spoke about the flank. We spoke about biding their time, and Black Dragons once again find a round off the back of that short flank. This time it's Goddess to step up for 2 kills to her name, and she played it to perfection. She waited to isolate the fight and did exactly that. But you got to see the other side of the sword as well. MIBR, they brought that from a 4 versus 2 to a 1 versus 1. So Black Dragons, they made it hard for themselves.
And on top of that, bearing in mind MIBR came into that on a pistol round.
Exactly.
And they still managed to make it incredibly competitive. But both of these teams have done very well at keeping even pistol rounds competitive. Unfortunately for MIBR, that means that they're back on another pistol round, but they're still keeping up with this insane pistol play.
Oh, those Tech 9s are a problem, aren't they? Now they're going to find one more. Dina stepping up to close things out, but once again, as you mentioned, Sam, a little bit too close for comfort. Pistols coming in, finally opening double to start to ring alarm bells. Made in Brazil, they're all too aware that they know that if they go aggressive, they can catch Black Dragons off guard. They can catch them in kind of a bit of an off-the-cuff kind of moment, and because of that, make their way on towards the site. And when you think about now that they're coming in with the full rifles, this becomes a bit of an issue.
And what I'm really excited for now is Younger and Little Z. Both of them have AWPs in their hands and looking to see what they're going to be able to accomplish with that. We've seen Younger get some beautiful shots off. Little Z hasn't really had the opportunity to make anything happen. Let's see if she can turn that around in this one. Nope.
Wow, Goddess playing it perfect. Closing out that mid-aggression. They know where the AWP is as well. The question, I don't think Goddess wants to overextend into it. Beautiful flash! Doesn't matter. Little's all too aware. And what a flick it is to find it now down to a 4 versus 3, and they're making their way back what it looks like over towards that bottom composition. No, rotating over towards Monster. They're just going to stack together. Bomb is still in the hands, currently in possession of Kizza. And a decision has to be made now. And you look towards Black Dragons as well, and they're a little bit in a kind of a question themselves. They don't exactly know how to set up. They're just going to go for a bit of a default, one towards Shore, one towards that Monster. One flashbang, though, and Julie could be in for a world of trouble.
They do have some pretty decent map control, though, but they've given up a little bit of presence over towards B. So if MIBR rush this, they don't rush. They peek 1 by 1. Oh, no.
Unfortunate. Now to 1-1. It's Little's on AWP. Bomb dropped, 35 seconds. And I think the priority now has changed from taking the round and tying this game back up to probably now just trying to hold on to the AWP. And she's all too aware of how tough an event that is. I spotted the leg of one. I think I need to be careful. Flash will come over as well. And it does look like Little's are going to try and make this work. In comes a flash. Damage will be dealt as well. And surely they just go hunting now. Potentially even as well, they could just try and wait until after time. Doesn't matter. Younger at range. With the AWP wins out that AWP battle. And Black Dragons make it a 5-3 scoreline. A 2-0, a 2-round lead, may I say, in their favor. And for MIBR, it's back to the drawing board. This time with no bomb plant means no buy.
This is the thing. So the pop flash comes over and she swings out, spots the leg, swings back, but you can see the 2 players from Black Dragons and they throw in a flash of their own and they both swing together. Exactly. And that's kind of what I wanted from MIBR when they were pushing through Monster, but instead they kind of push through one at a time. They just solo peek. And unfortunately, Black Dragons, not a team that you can really solo peek against. They do a little bit of cleanup there, and they manage to net themselves yet another round in their back pocket. And on top of that, Lil Z popping that flash, they had kind of the suspicion that she was there. You know, everybody's kind of poking, peeking a little bit, and oh, maybe she's rotated away, maybe she's still there. With that flash coming out, it gives a perfect opportunity for them to hunt her down, and they do, completely denying the saving of the AWP.
Oh, the aggression, Natty finds a double with the HE, make that a third with the M4A1S, and that's some significant util damage done. Natty now can hold and wait, and potentially still on for the ace now. A sound cue's heading towards me, gonna take the aggressive 5, spawning out the information on both. Labored spray on towards the AWP over the USPS, she makes it an ace. The first one we see today in South America, and Nanny, what a way to do it. Celebrations all around, Black Dragons making a 6th round.
Oh, she looks so pleased with herself. And you know what? She has every right to. And then on top of that, they do manage to save the AWP at the end of the round. I mean, she was an absolute star here. That gets a little bit of cheeky play as well. You see 2 players dying to an HE. It's very seldom that you see something like that happen. But perfection. It's exactly what you want to see. And, you know, Nanny was one of the players that I would have highlighted at the start of the broadcast if we had a little bit more time for that. But she has been an absolute star for this Black Dragons roster.
She has, and well, now we can see what she brings to the table. She's 16-4 currently, Sam. In terms of the KD,
she's a monster.
She's doing pretty well. This time, though, only going to be denied on a dink. Hera down to 9 points of HP. As we speak, the opening 3 kills go the way of MIBR, and they've already made light work of the CT defense as they rotate now back over towards that B site, which as we stand is completely barren because Arkina, she's made her way out for free.
This is a rough one for Black Dragons. I mean, they take a slightly more aggressive approach through Monster, and they just get obliterated. The spam coming through that tunnel, and they just can't survive it. Natalie's Young in a rough spot here. She's going to be able to get 1. We'll see if she can hold on to this AWP because, of course, now her position is known. Anywhere she goes, she's going to be in danger, but she's just going to keep making this expensive. Keep peeking her. See what's going to happen, MIBR.
And that's now worrying. You know, for MIBR, they went for a slight hunt. They were kind of just potentially testing the waters of dropping that AWP. But because that, you look towards the likes of course, you know, Hera and Flystyle who have fallen. You know, Flystyle only got $450 to work with. Arkina's only got $950. Little's $150. I mean, their long-term economy of the T-side is not in a great way. Yes, with the bomb plot and the round in their favor, they're going to have an economy to work with. They will be able to buy. That won't be the issue. But we're looking towards the long-term side of things. And on a map like Overpass, which is generally seen as one of the more CT-sided maps in the pool, you need a strong T-side start if you want to kind of keep that momentum up going in towards the CT. And MIBR know that all too well. And by not having the economy to support them, that's where things become a problem. So for them, they do have to be ever so slightly cautious. But of course, a 4th round collected, deficit down to only 2.
Well, thankfully, after winning that round, as we mentioned, they're going to have a little bit of extra cash in the back pocket. But Black Dragons still have the lead here. And their economy is looking slightly healthier, and that's going to be a nice little opening kill here. The pixel perfection through that monster tunnel. Made in Brazil have to make a choice here. Do they commit to this? Or do they pull back? That bomb is already starting to pull away a little bit here. They haven't quite decided that it is going to be this B push. Again, you know, if they wait too long, if they stagnate out, Black Dragons might just push out. And there's some really good map control here from the Black Dragon squad. I mean, A-Long is more or less left alone, but you should be able to spot out a rotation if you hold a pretty good angle, you know, if you're just chilling in mid. So they should have all the information that they need. Very little utility left, though, for this Black Dragon squad. So they're going to have to make it count.
Well, bit of damage dealt. Arkina does need to be cautious now. She's down to 33 points. And we already spoke about the time once before about MIBR at times making things a little bit difficult for themselves by turning the clock into their worst enemy rather than their best friend. And we're seeing more of the same. 40 seconds left to work with. They're leaving things a little bit late, and a Molotov in towards Monster will now deny that presence. Going to try and catch one in transition. That's a beaut. Second Molotov to come forward as well. Flash will come through, won't cause too much damage. Reload at the worst time, but it doesn't matter. Dina comes in for one of her own. Bomb dropped. And with just over 20 seconds left to work with MIBR, one alive, that our Little's the AWP has to go for a save call. But surely Black Dragons go hunting because they know she's going to be the orb wielder. They want to try and deny that orb being saved across, which means they won't be able to bring it in going further. But no, she's going to be just about able to save it in towards that next round. And another round for Black Dragons where they take it off the back of MIBR, just playing the clock too late and not having enough time to execute.
And this has been a big problem, I think, overall. Yeah, I mean, that was crazy close. Just managing to survive there and hold on to the AWP. But I also find that, you know, when they go for the rush strats, so we've seen them take the slower approach, but we've also seen that faster hit approach. And even then, they tend to get kind of demolished by utility. I mean, they find themselves in a really rough spot here where if they go aggressive, they get shut down early on by utility. And if they play a little bit slower, I mean, somebody's peeking an angle and is going to kill you with a pixel. So what realistically becomes your goal here? Now they try for something a little bit more sneaky and immediately someone's head gets blown off. Like, what do you do if you're made in Brazil? They're in such a rough spot right now. Black Dragons have this entire map locked down. They've looked at every possible strategy. They've thought about it. They've looked into what this team does, what they might bring to the table, and they have an answer to everything so far. Made in Brazil have to come up with something completely innovative if they want to try and get to Black Dragons.
I think that is safe to say. It's unfortunately for MIBR, their game plan, which kind of on paper is very, very formative. I mean, it has the right ideas behind it. Bait out a lot of the CT utility, try and find that opening pick, and then use it as a catalyst. The execution isn't quite there, and that's what's become problematic now. Like, God, I need to be careful to be spammed through the divider. Gonna fall to the hands of the AWP, and Nani now in a very precarious spot. She's in towards bathroom. She's all too aware of how much of a tough position this in, but once again, the flank could be all the more important. Orb comes live, Younger for one. No scope, not quite connecting though. And once again, this flank could be the difference maker. Nani coming in through bathroom. Dina trying to hold down the fort, but from behind, Nani not able to deliver. Littles will find a beautiful orb shot, and the HE drops Dina, leaving it all down to one. Julie in a 1 versus 3. Gives away a position as well as that Molotov comes flying through the CT smoke, and this is now a precarious spot for her to be in. As that bomb's already halfway ticked, trying to make her way through that smoke. Had to dissipate, she's into a lot. Or a very tough position through the Molotov. Gonna make the smart decision just to fall away. 1 versus 3, not worth testing.
I mean, this was so much better because we see kind of like a death ball come out from Made in Brazil here. They all push out together as a 5-stack. They pressure those angles in bathrooms, and that's very tough to hold on your own. Because it's such an enclosed space, you're going to struggle to reinforce that with more than one player. Maybe you have a second player a little bit further back watching for a different angle, but realistically speaking, you are pushing as 5 into an enclosed space. More likely than not, you're going to be able to overrun the one person that's in there. And then off of that, the defenders, you know, are likely to be kind of a little bit more spread out across the map. They're very unlikely that they're going to be holding on to one particular site. So this is a really good round from Made in Brazil, and it's something that I'd like to see replicated, maybe. Just the sheer force of numbers and how that opens up the site for them.
Exactly that. I mean, it's about overwhelming the CTs, isn't it? That's what gives them that advantage, and they're looking to do, once again, more of the same. I mean, Dina's taking some significant damage. Same could be said for Younger. Potentially, they might want to abide by Bogdan's law, drop the AWP over towards Dina. Well, unfortunately, Younger's not going to be able to make the decision. She falls, opening kill goes away with MIBR. And this is the positives we were speaking about. By them finding that opening kill, they're very good at using it as a catalyst towards their success. And Goddess is now isolated over towards the A site all alone and got a big hold here, holding to find the first. Good to drop the bomb as well. That's information gain. The question, can she find a second? The answer is yes. Looking for 3 as the utility will come forward, nearly spotting it out, in fact, and will deliver. Stunning from Goddess. Denies all the presence over towards the A site and has bought that time for the rotation to come through. And now it's 2 versus 4. MIBR, 1 by 1 they're peaking, and 1 by 1 they fall.
And this is the second time that we've seen this from MIBR, right? Where they just kind of solo peek out. And bearing in mind, Bomb is heavily in control of Black Dragons at this point. Goddess very much living up to her name there, being an absolute demon on this A site. And for Made in Brazil, I mean, this is a round that they kind of have to win if you take a look at what their economy is looking like. And sure, they should have quite a loss streak ahead of them, but it would be good if they could come out on top of this, but yeah, Black Dragons not going to allow that to happen. And, you know, I was mentioning that economy, it's not great. It's decent, it's okay, they'll be able to buy quite a bit into that, but it's not going to be perfect by any measure. And bearing in mind, Black Dragons went out that round on an unfavorable bye, right? I mean, that wasn't
Exactly.
perfect for them either, but they still come out on top of it. They do so well at controlling the space. And, you know, MIBR, again, leaning into that kind of death ball approach. But again, that one-for-one peak, it's never going to net you results.
No, not at all. Oh, Keenan, just going for that spamming towards short water. Had the right idea. Unfortunately, a cement wall was in the way, but at the very least, showing a bit of presence over towards that B site, which now kind of innately might tempt Black Dragons to go for a slight stack there, rotate the way back forward. But no, not the case. In fact, they are doubling back over towards A. We see a triple stack in that favor, setting up that utility once again. And at the very least now, in the penultimate round of this half, Black Dragons have guaranteed themselves a lead going into the second half. But on a map like Overpass that we mentioned, that's so CT-sided, you want to see them find more. You know, at least 9.
Do you know what I think plays into Nani's power? I think it's her posture. Have you looked at her camera? She has perfect posture, man. Perfect. Look at that. Stunning gamer posture. She's not right in front of her screen. Backs up straight. That's where it is, man.
Well, it's working, isn't it? I mean, as you stand 16-6, you gotta say that potentially that's what I might need to incorporate into mine. Younger, good for one of her own as well. Nice and close to the monitor for her. Not missing a pixel in the server, it seems. As Black Dragon's going to find that opening kill, but it looks like they're rotating over towards the B site, or tempted by it at the very least. Goddess now all alone over towards the side. One,
oh my God,
two, will be able to find it before she falls. Littles will come alive on her own. But once again, MIBR have left the clock too late, and they fall to the hands of the AWPer. Younger, a stunning 3K to her name, to find 9 rounds of the ball for Black Dragons, and for them to cement a lead going into the second half. And with the buy of MIBR, it's time potentially and surely they should find double digits in this first half.
Over and above that, can we just talk about that off angle?
I love it.
Nobody checks her. They all just run straight out of bathrooms, and she's looking in the wrong direction. She turns around and she's like, oh, 2 people, dead.
Yep.
That actually hurt my brain. And then, of course, Younger just locks down that A site perfectly once again with the AWP. She's such a monster. And as we said, yep, economy, not great for MIBR. This is pretty much going to be another little bit of a cleanup round. Try and keep it expensive and doing quite well at that, but not really going to be enough to bring them through. And this, I mean, I've loved how Black Dragons have played this. Have you noticed that almost every round there has been some deviation in the way that they hold the map, right? Whether they're rotating one player slightly to the left or the right, or rotating that player to a completely different site entirely. I mean, just the differences in where Goddess is holding on the A site. You know, sometimes she's in bathroom, sometimes she's in this weird off angle, sometimes she's just holding at the top of A long. They expect her to be on the A site, but they never know exactly where she's going to be, and she consistently gets value out of that. The creativity from this Black Dragon squad has got MIBR stumped.
You're spot on. But of course, it is still doable. Now down to 1 versus 1, swinging forward, Little trying to deny, but not going to be the case at the half. 10-5, Black Dragons with a lead. We'll see you after the break.
Falling down, I go and pick myself up. I just keep moving forward. The breakthrough you never heard of. I keep building up my own hands. I'm not gonna eat dust. Oh, you can't stop. can't stop this. You better believe it. I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable. Oh, you can't stop this. You better believe it. I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable. Stoppable. From the hell still lives on.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, first half is concluded. 10-5 is where we stand. But as we've mentioned already, Sam, Overpass is one of the more CT-sided maps in the pool, and it's now down to MIBR's response. But I think a pistol round here is a necessity to kickstart a bit of momentum, because that's where they find their success. If they don't find momentum, things do get worrying.
I mean, this is what I was saying in the green room, right? This is where the game actually begins, because now MIBR have a chance to mount their CT side. And if it goes anything like Black Dragons' CT side, well, we could very well see ourselves in an overtime situation before the night is through. But as you say, the pistol round, that's going to be the most important one here. That's going to potentially set the pace. I think, ideally, their best case scenario for this first round is to completely deny the bomb plant, completely eliminate the Black Dragon squad, deny them any of that cash, and therefore secure themselves at
Agreed.
least 2 to 4 rounds at the beginning of this half. And if they can secure 2 to 4 rounds, that puts them at 9 points. They've almost completely bridged the gap. So yes, this first pistol round is essentially the decider.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, but I think what you mentioned, which is the most important thing, is the denial of the bomb plot. I think that's actually where things mean a little bit more, because yeah, if MIBR take the round, but Black Dragons get that bomb down, they still get to bring AKs in towards the second round of the half, round number 17, and that's where, as we saw in the first half, the real issue stands. I mean, MIBR had the exact same scenario. Black Dragons took the opening pistol round, but because MIBR got that bomb down, they took 3 AKs coming in, and that was enough for them to kind of be able to, well, realistically take a bit of early momentum in towards the half. Now, of course, as you can see, we're back to us. We do have a slight server issue, so hopefully we're back in the server momentarily. But yeah, that's the main issue we have at hand, right? If a bomb plant comes through for Black Dragons, that should be enough for them to, even if they don't take the opening pistol round, take a bit of a momentum going forward, a bit of a long-term economy to work with, and things do become a little bit of a problem, because MIBR, they can end up losing, 2-3 rounds. On that CT side, that economy can be very tough to come by.
I'm still so impressed with some of these Black Dragons players. I mean, Nani, of course, showed her prowess. We first mentioned what her KD was looking at right after her ace. She was sitting at 16 kills. But even if she hadn't gotten the ace, even if she didn't get a single kill in that round, she would have been the only player, or maybe one of only 2 players on double digits.
Exactly.
So, I mean, she has been so consistent. It's been very, very impressive to see how these ladies have stepped up. And as we mentioned, they kind of have to. This is a very important series.
Yeah, exactly. Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we do have some ever so slight server issues. So what we're going to do, instead of us waffling, we're going to throw this one to an ever so quick break. When we're back, we'll get right underway into the second half and right back into the action. So we'll see you after the break.
Hey Future Pros! Back to Ancient with a basic B-site execute you can throw with a little help from your friends. For this execute you will need 2 smokes, 2 flashes and 1 molly. As very kindly for your teammate to drop their smoke into this corner, and when you're ready, get into the corner too. To throw your first smoke, aim in the middle of the doorway in the middle of these bricks. Then jump throw the smoke. This will smoke off the left side of site. While in the same spot, aim above this wall decoration and in line with the leaf above. Then jump throw the smoke. This will smoke off the right side, but be careful as the CT could try and sneak around the edge of the smoke. To throw your molly, aim at this part of the door along this point. Then jump throw the molly. This molly will push someone out of the cubby, which is incredibly annoying to clear. Now the smokes and molly are down, aim to this section of the door, walk forward and jump throw your flash quickly. This flash will get anyone on the site, but hopefully not your teammates pushing up long. Finally, throw your last flash over the triangle to stop someone from spraying through the long smoke and further blind anyone looking at the ramp. And that's it, pretty easy, and remember, just go B. Hey Future Pros! For this episode, I'll show you a neat little smoke that would help you when retaking B. This smoke will completely block off the B tunnels. To do the smoke, run into this corner next to the truck. Aim as shown, then jump throw the smoke. If done correctly, the entrance to B tunnels will be completely obscured. Make sure you don't have a teammate planning on going through tunnels, as he is going to be one angry retaker if that is the case.
Well, for the second time, hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to get underway with that aforementioned second half. Of course, it's 10-5 where we currently stand in favour of Black Dragons. And for MIBR, now going on towards their CT side, there's a lot to be done. Well, I think, unfortunately, I've lost Sam momentarily. But yeah, as we mentioned, a lot to be done as we stand. It's a tough situation for MIBR. They're 5 rounds down, but of course, they now move on towards that CT side. So it's the better side to be on. And while we wait for Sam to get back in, I can start to divulge into what I've been thinking of at the moment. I mean, for MIBR, this pistol round is a needs must. It's one of those ones where everything has to go their way, and if it doesn't, things become dicey. If Black Dragon's able to take a pistol round and build up that long-term economy with a bomb block coming in, things can become very problematic for the likes of MIBR, where they lose that initial part of the momentum in towards the second half. And with Black Dragons only 6 rounds away, it's an uncomfortable position for them to be in as we stand. But we are about to get underway, hopefully momentarily in towards the second half. Let me get this one back underway. And right, so Sam, are you back with us?
I am.
There we go.
It's been an interesting couple of days for tech issues, but you know what? At least it's not just me, right? The server's having problems. It's it's just it do be like that sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least we're back in, so that's the important part. And I caught the tail end of what you were saying there, particularly with regard to the score lines. And I mean, we spoke a little bit about it before the tech break there. But I mean, this first round is going to be very, very important for MIBR because, and I think we kind of mentioned about how that runaway 4-point lead could get them to just about evening out the scoreline. But I think it's also important to bear in mind that if Black Dragons get that runaway tear, they're 1 point away from match point. So, I mean, the momentum here is going to be pivotal for MIBR because it's not just a case of, okay, well, we'll lose a round or two. It's not the end of the world. You have to realize that it's that little bit closer for Black Dragons who've already hit double digits.
Yeah,
to allow
exactly.
them any more space here would be devastating.
That's exactly the case. I think it's kind of, you got two kind of sides of the story. You got MIBR who are feeling the pressure a bit. I mean, this is their map pick. We already mentioned that, kind of for me, potentially speaking, that this was the win factor. This was for me where I thought, like, if MIBR are unable to take out Overpass as like kind of a guaranteed map under their belt and go in towards map number 2 with at least a little bit of momentum, I think things become uncomfortable for them. You look towards kind of this entire series, and the map pool specifically, I do think that's where Black Dragons have the ever so slight advantage. And of course, you're taking towards the map pool, their recent record as well. It's very much all up in the air here. But I mean, it's an interesting time, safe to say, where for MIBR, this pistol round for me feels like a bit of a must win. Fail to find this, Black Dragons can get up to kind of, 12, 13 rounds before MIBR can even respond with a full buy of their own. And I mean, a full buy with Envoy ONSs and good amount of utility.
I think, while we have a moment here, we didn't really get a chance to touch on this. So for those that aren't aware, I'm just going to give everybody an update on the teams that have been confirmed so far for Dallas and get a feel for what the competition is going to look like for whichever one of these two teams does make it out today. So, of course, we had the Oceanic qualifier, and that was Mind Freak coming out on top of that one. Then the South African qualifier, we had the Quality Kermits, and I actually know one of those players, and I've known her for years, so I'm definitely not biased at all for that team. And then, of course, we have both of our EU teams decided. Nigma yesterday with a very decisive win, and Equipa today with a very, very closely contested win. From North America, we have CLG, Counter Logic Gaming, and after this matchup, we'll find out who that last team is going to be from North America. And of course, we discovered yesterday that Furia, in what was also a very decisive series, managed to secure that first South American spot. So there's a lot of seriously tough competition already locked in, and it really does feel like this is just the beginning of the uphill battle for these two teams, whichever one does make it through.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly that. I mean, we saw Furia yesterday who they just steamrolled, didn't they? I mean, it's unfortunate, but that is the case. They've been a dominant side throughout kind of the regular season and in towards the qualification games. They kept up that form, and for me, are a side who you really do have to fear, but the same has to be said for Nigma and CLG. I mean, all three of those teams had flawless seasons. They made it look very easy throughout the regular season, and same can be said with qualification. I mean, for them, they looked unscathed, and the real interest is kind of how these regions line up when they're then against each other on LAN. But of course, finally, ladies and gentlemen, we're back underway. 10-5 is where we stand at the half, but of course, for MIBR, a CT pistol round is a necessity.
Don't let the score on the HUD confuse you. There was a tech issue, as we saw, so it is 10-5, which is going to make things very interesting for the admins. I don't envy them one little bit, as they have a lot of maths to do. I suppose we do as well.
Yeah, for me, I'm scared about myself more. And, well, what I can say, if Black Dragons win this one, it goes up to 11. So I can do the 1+1, and so far, good start. 5 versus 4, numbers favour the Black Dragons, but plant, post-plant set up. And for MIBR, this is becoming uncomfortable. My alarm bells are starting to ring internally because I lose this pistol round and it becomes a problem, but that's not a bad start. Little's gonna find one, not a bad second as well. Problems being made by Dina and Goddess combined. Make it 2 versus 1. Little's with the Julies and say 2 guns are better than 1. They can't make it a thing. Unfortunately, not the case. Nanny will deny, and that's an 11th for Black Dragons. Thankfully, I thank the admins a lot as the HUD is fixed, so I don't have to do maths internally.
Oh, thank goodness.
And just like that, it's another pistol round in their favor. And of course, this time they get the AKs to support, which were the thorn in their side earlier when it was MIBR picking up. Now it's not the case.
I was really impressed with your maths in that round. You got
Thank
10
you.
11, 4 and 5.
Look at
2
me
guns.
go.
I mean, you are on top of it, man.
I'm stepping up in the world. What can I say? University degree? Yes, sir.
Hey,
Wow.
it's paying off.
Exactly. Exactly. Well,
And we talk about counting. I mean, you look at that economy, and because that bomb does get planted,
Yeah.
Black Dragons looking so good into this next round. And this is what we were so worried about, because if they get that runaway train, which it looks like they might do with Made in Brazil having spent not a dime into this round, they get that much closer to match point.
well, exactly that. It's a slower tempo for the T side of the Black Dragons. They don't really need to do anything too overzealous, but the only thing they need to do is try and avoid this gamble stack, because yes, it is 5 USPs, but we saw earlier, Sam, that they cause an issue when they're in the hands of Black Dragons.
Well, let's bear in mind that this is also MIBR's map pick, which
Yeah, exactly.
does not bode well at the... I mean, look at Nani. She's
Hang on.
so aggressive. Okay, she eventually gets killed. I couldn't believe she lived that long.
I can't believe that the fact that they found themselves 2 kills, this does become a slight issue. Also, I say, I mean, the bomb should be able to relatively safely make the way over towards the B site. Judy just trying to hold that transition. Door will be opened, and immediately it's night-night for Flystylers. The numbers favour the T side, bomb to be planted. And I think with the firepower that they've got to work with, yes, we see a Mac 10 and an AK-47 drop to the hand of the CTs, but this retake doesn't have much of a backbone, and they only have 1 smoke to work with.
I mean, bearing in mind, a lot of that is because of the 2 kills that came through was because of the hyper-aggression directly into the MIBR squad. If they play a little bit more passively, they win out those duels easily. They do give over 2 guns, but I mean, it's an AK and a Mac 10. The Mac 10's gone. The AK, he's with only 25 HP. There's no way that she's able to clutch out this round. So at the very least, if she can just hold on to this gun into the next round, I mean, their team should be able to spend a little bit of cash into the next one, but make sure that you've got at least 1 AK into it. It's definitely going to help out as Black Dragons 12-5, and things become that little bit more dicey for MIBR.
Yeah, well, a silver lining is the AK-47 saved the cross, right? I mean, at the very least, it's something for them to work with. But I think, yeah, you're absolutely spot on. It's becoming an uncomfortable situation. It's a 7-round lead for Black Dragons on their opponent's map pick, and then got Inferno up next. We know how prevalent throughout the season Black Dragons have been on that map of Inferno. It's been one of their strong picks, one of which they've kind of asserted themselves oh so well, and does start to get slightly concerning when you look at how MIBR now is such a gigantic gap towards their T-side opposition. Not a bad start, though. Opening kill. There's the way of Arkina. Goddess going to fall, and that's that numbers advantage they were looking for. And, of course, now with rifles in their hand, the CT side, they have to convert this one.
I mean, that's a beautiful opener. We've seen how devastating Goddess can be to this MIBR squad. So to take her off the board, that's a little bit of a feather in their cap here. Oh, that's going to be the trade out, though, as Black Dragons are making their way over towards a pretty heavily defended A site. And no bits of fake, boys. We're heading on back over towards B, potentially. I mean, they could just stall out for a little bit and then pull back.
Oh, no. Arkina's falling away. They might even rotate back over towards the A site and gamble stack it, kind of assuming that it's going to be an A hit and kind of rely on Arkina to try and hold things off from Graffiti, which I think it's easier said than done with just a solo M4, A4. This is now uncomfortable. I mean, for Made in Brazil, they're expecting it looks like this to go towards the A side, but actually, in fact, they've gone for a 2-2 split, so they've played this in the most secure way they can, not gambling upon anything. A Molotov are coming towards short as well, but not in the right positions. They're shift walking their way out of Monster. The AWP at range of Littles won't really be able to provide any presence. There's an opener. It's a 1-for-1, in fact. The AWP comes alive on a row. Littles makes a second. She picks off Julie. Bomb to go down. Won't be able to deny, I don't think. And they won't. But the round does go in favor of RBRs. That's all they were looking for, especially when you take into account that for Black Dragons, there was an investment behind that round. We look towards, Nani, for example, same things at Medina. So their economy in towards this next round isn't going to be the greatest. Potentially, it might just be a slight half buy.
I mean, I actually like the way the MIBR play that. So we were kind of panicking a little bit. We see them start to rotate all the way over towards that A site, expecting that there's going to be a push. And I mean, Black Dragons, they did kind of fake that out a little bit, but they play that retake very, very well. They start moving in towards the site, and Black Dragons aren't really expecting them to come out so quickly back from that A site.
Yeah.
So they're able to get that little bit of cleanup, and that's going to get them into this round. Yes, it is expensive, as they didn't, despite the fact that they won the round, they do lose 2 of their players, and they have been on a little bit of a bad streak. So they're still able to buy in, but it's not, perfect. But if you look at what Black Dragons has going for them, it's not great for both of these 2 teams, really.
I think you're spot on. This is one of those ones where we kind of cast back to that analogy that I like to use of the glass floor, and I think this is exactly that. It's that glass floor with both of these 2 sides. This is where things do become kind of problematic. Lose this round, it leaves you with a kind of a double eco situation, not exactly where you want to be. And I think for MIBR, it's more worrying on their side. A little bit of a jump peak, going to come forward. Littles with the AWP. He's going to be able to find the opener. Younger walks straight in towards the scope. And that's the opening kill going with MIBR. That's exactly what they were looking for. But it looks like they're still committing over towards A. Flystyle. He's holding. He's waiting. Going to be able to find one. Look at 2. This time not going to be able to connect on towards the transfer. This now does become a slightly ordained situation where MIBR, I mean, they've got the crossfire set up. I mean, for the 2 remaining T side, they're walking straight in toward that crossfire that we've spoken about. And it's only all alone. A 1 versus 4. And I mean, it wasn't impossible, but it was very improbable and showing exactly why. MIBR making it 7. They're starting to close that gap, Sam.
Yeah, this is kind of what we were expecting for the CT side. They managed to deny Black Dragons from getting a 4-round momentum runaway, which can very often happen. So that definitely helps them out, and that gives them an opportunity to try and battle back into it. Lil Z, one of the players that, has come up a couple of times in this map. But I mean, I think it was you and I casting when she got that like 5K on Vertigo with the AWP. I mean, she is absolutely terrifying.
Of course.
With this weapon in her hands. And I mean, we're seeing it here as well. We kind of praised Goddess for her ability to hold down the A site. And that's without the AWP. With Lil Z, when she has it in her hands and she's chilling on this A site, you know that it's going to be more or less impenetrable. She's doing some fantastic work here for the squad. Black Dragons now, of course, back down onto a save, barely spending anything into this round. In fact, not spending a single cent. Hoping that they'll be able to buy back into the next round. They're not terribly freaked out. They still do have a huge round advantage, but they keep conceding these rounds. That gap is going to close very quickly.
Exactly that. Well, you look towards Black Dragons, and unfortunately, it is just a full eco. I mean, this is one of those rounds where the priority is getting a bomb plant because it gives you a bit of a long-term economy, but just try and cause any economical damage they can. They're making their way over to the A site. Flystyle should be able to mow down a couple early spots. But actually, though, the bomb should be able to go down. So, at the very least, that's all the T-side we're looking for. Now, anything else on top of this is just a silver lining. Molotov will come through, should clear out Goddess into the close left. She's just biding her time. Will fall to the flames as they're being pulled apart one by one. But as I already mentioned, all they were looking for in terms of their priority was getting themselves a bomb plot. But they are causing at least problems. 1 kill to be found. But it is only just going to be 1 kill. A kill and a bomb plant. That is at the very least with what Black Dragons brought in towards round number 20, which was nothing. That's a really positive sign because it now gives them just a bit of room to work with against the AKs come out and the AWP more importantly.
I mean, this gives them just a little bit of room to breathe, and you can start to feel that kind of constricting anxiety of we don't have cash, we need to start getting back on top of this. But they are able to get themselves a little bit more. Of course, they have to sacrifice a little bit of utility for it, but with the firepower behind this AWP, I mean, we've seen what Younger can do with it. She has been exceptional for a lot of these rounds. Oh, missed first shot. Not a great way to punctuate the point I was making, but at least she does survive.
Yeah, it does survive, but the question is, little. She's holding it towards top con. She heard that early bit of a sound. What do they find? They've gone for that mid-aggression, the CT side. I do like this one from MIBR. A lot of information can be gained here. Not a bad start as well. As the opening two go the way of the CT side, numbers brought in their favor. Younger holding at range. Does need to be careful of the close left angle as well. He's also aware of what could be just on that left-hand side. The flash will come through, could give an opening. Will do, in fact, as Flystyle's going to fall. And now, as we stand, I mean, Hera's in a really tough, precarious spot. She's dancing around this mid-fountain position, but the flank actually could work in her favor. She's got the sound keys over towards long.
No.
They're going to find one more, and it's actually worked brilliantly. She's played time to the essence, and it's all down to one. It's got us all alone in a 1 versus 3, but the Bomber's making his way over to an open B site.
But how long is she going to take to clear the site? That's the question. If she waits too long, the rotation could come in to deny the plant. But no, the Made in Brazil players are playing very, very patiently. Only now do they start to move in. Now, Goddess, unlikely she'll be able to clutch this out, but at the very least, they have the bomb plant for their troubles.
In 1 versus 3, it's not impossible, but it's a tough task. At least has to isolate. Not a bad way to start things off. Good for the first, but turns away at the worst time. Flystar will trade, and just like that, there's MIBR to make it a 9th. On their CT side, they're stepping up in a huge way as well. And this tech pause has worked brilliantly in their favor because they've kind of cooled all the momentum of Black Dragons from that first half. They had a 5-round lead coming in towards it, and unfortunately now towards their T side, it's not been the most perfect of starts for them.
Yeah, I mean, it is more or less to be expected, I think, given that it is the T side. And we also have to remember that this was Made in Brazil's map pick. And while things were looking a little bit dicey for them on their T side, now over onto the CT side, they look very much in control of the situation. We would have liked to have seen a slightly bigger buffer for them, but they haven't allowed that to really slow them down. They're doing really well here to just keep this competitive.
Now, of course, once again, for the T side, only pistols, and the pistols are causing problems. Black Dragons, but MIBR down to just 2. That's the AWP and the AK-47 that need to step up huge here. And potentially as well, especially the AWP, they might even not want to risk it. Send Hera in, she can afford to drop that AK-47, try and cause some damage as best she can. The AWP, that'll be a very, very risky push in a 4 versus 2, especially now that they've got a double rifle setup to work with. Flash will come through. The post plant's brilliant here. I mean, Black Dragon not giving away anything, swinging in. Dean is good for the first, and there's the AWP all alone in a 1 versus 4. And that's the safe call being made. Black Dragons on just pistols, Sam, have managed to find a 13th round. The question is, can they drop the AWP? The answer's going to be no.
I mean, there was some really great utility that came out from Black Dragons as they make their way in towards the site there. Really good flashes and smokes that really kind of zone out a little bit, force those isolated 1v1s. And I mean, those Tech 9s, man, at close range, they are absolutely terrifying. And used a really good effect there. Again, you're in conjunction with that solid util. So that's going to be a round that Black Dragons probably weren't expecting to win. A round that MIBR definitely weren't expecting to lose. However, things still somewhat favor MIBR. You know, the economy's looking a little bit rough at the moment.
Yeah.
But they still have a good buy-in, and they still have that AWP. Nice little bit of chip damage onto Black Dragons as well. Going to have to force them to play potentially a little bit more carefully, knowing that they're quite low on HP. And of course, bearing in mind that Younger is not holding on to that AWP. They weren't able to buy into that. So that definitely favors... Oh, wow, okay.
Not a bad opener. And a second for Younger as well. Flytile going to fall. That's exactly what they were looking for, as a little bit of a controlling towards mid. And now what we do see is the T side. Black Dragons sneaking their way out of Monster. And this could work really in their favor. They've not given away the ruse. And Sam, they could get this B site for free.
I think they do get this B site for free, especially because they have that numbers advantage here. And, you know, in the previous round, Lil Z maybe didn't have to try and hold on to the AWP, but in this one, she absolutely does. The economy here is a complete mess for MIBR, and any guns that they lose here, it's going to be difficult to buy them back into the next. Remember, it's only going to be a 2-round loss streak. That's not a hell of a lot of cash to take into the next round. They have lost that AK, and they will lose the AWP as well, and that's going to be a rough spot for them into the next round. And bearing in mind, if and when Black Dragons win this round, it's match point.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the situations now that if MIBR don't take this next round, yeah, I mean, when you look at the buy, you don't expect them to because it will be a very low buy. For MIBR, they've technically speaking only got one buy left in them. If they're unable to convert it, this is becoming a very scary time where you look towards the side now and essentially only 2 can pick up a buy, that of Hera, that of Kizza. And the rest of the CT side don't really have the economical backing to be able to find anything. So yeah, they are just going to go for the upgraded pistol buy that you can even afford to try and stick around that 2K mark. And for MIBR, this is now becoming a tough time because for Black Dragons, on paper, this should be a 15th round, which means that they're one step away from taking their opponent's map pick.
We have seen MIBR do some really nasty things on pistols, and we've seen some really crazy kills come through with USPSs, so maybe MIBR, maybe they can keep it at the very least expensive, although at this point, looking at Black Dragon's economy, expensive isn't really a word that they're terribly afraid of right now.
For sure.
MIBR find themselves in a rough spot, and I do like that they're taking a slightly more aggressive stance here, but I mean, Black Dragons, looking at their positioning, they're expecting this. They're expecting that this is going to be, because it's a pistol round, a potential kind of aggressive push out, and now they just have to wait for MIBR to walk into their crosshairs.
Judy's going, I want to say back over towards short. They went for a slightly loud play, MIBR, in towards out of B, kind of making it known of their presence there with the Deagles as they're kind of forcing them to that chokehold that is the A site. And Julie needs to be careful of this close angle or too aware and easily dismisses of the first. Looking to double it down as well. She tries to get the sight, running a gun in. 1, 2, 3 as well. Brilliant for her. Flightstyle still present, so is Kizza, but now she's all alone. In a 1 versus 3 with just a Deagle. They know exactly where she is. They don't even need to test it. They can rotate over towards the B site, give her this A for site for free, just pick up herself an M4A1S, Spot doesn't get to use it. As just like that, Black Dragons find themselves at 15. They're 1 round away from taking MIBR's map pick.
And it's unsurprising that all we really saw bought into the previous round was the 2 Deagles for MIBR. They wanted to make sure that coming into this round, they were going to have every penny they could possibly scrounge together. And again, it's not a perfect buy by any means, but they do have that AWP available. Little Z has been an absolute star with it. Of course, the kills reset after the tech pause, but 11 kills in this half for her. I mean, she has been outstanding here. But Black Dragons, of course, they're on that tear. They're on a bit of a runaway, and even if they lose this round, they've got cash in the bank. And with that first opening kill, it spells disaster for MIBR.
So I'm getting worried now. Now that a rotation's been made over towards the A side.
Only now?
And Dina, yeah, exactly that. Dina's going aggressive. The only thing is Dina isn't aware of that flank coming through. But by clearing out long and going for this sort of play, sharp in the spot, something has been taking a pop shot, but the mist, in fact, does leave her with some room to work with. Going in towards that, a bang, spots out the elbow. But Kizza gonna be able to find the kill, just about staying alive. But what they've been gifted is a completely free, barren B bomb size. The utility comes raining in. They're gonna be able to get this bomb down and start to set up a plant. This now becomes a very uncomfortable situation where it's a 4 versus 4 retake. And they've got to go loud and proud because time is of the essence. In comes the utility trying to deny some of that pressure. As Kizza down to only 6 points of HP, just walking straight towards the double spray down. Julie good for 2. Now he comes in. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Black Dragons take MIBR's map pick. And what a way to do it. And it's all off the back of a stunning, absolutely stunning first half, which set them up for success. And once they picked up a pistol round, Sam, we said that might be enough for them to close it out. And it was.
You know, sometimes you'll see the players rejoicing. I think all I see there is